us in India, badly done hair transplants, poor unaesthetic outcomes are so common that this recently made me buy a laser hair removal machine. This patient came to me yesterday seeking full coverage of his head in the backdrop of an over-harvested scalp donor. No availability of hair in the scalp donor. So whatever hair we have, say around 1,000 can be picked from the scalp donor still, and rest about 3,000 can be picked from the shadow area of the beard, that is below the jawline, upper neck grafts, and remaining from the chest, but they will still be insufficient to cover his whole head, especially given the fact that he is on the road to developing grade 7 male pattern baldness. And that's not all. Look at his temple points. His temple points have been so far moved forwards that they look out of sync with his regrown hair and his hairline. His hairline is pluggy, to say the least. What can be offered to him? I offer to him good coverage along the hairline and along the mid-scalp. Beyond that, I have not promised him anything. But in this patient, you will see that if we move the temple points backwards, he will look much more normal, much more natural than he presently looks. If we commit the mistake of filling up his temples, which he wants to do, the hairline will look much unnatural than it presently is looking. The reason why I say this is that a low hairline, very advanced temple points do not go well with a visibly thinning scalp, which is visibly progressing towards grade 7 baldness. No one has such strong temple points when at the back of the head, he is developing grade 7 male pattern baldness. So in such cases, what do? I propose to him that we should ablate or remove the hair from the temple points, and at a later procedure do temple point restoration in a more realistic, more aesthetic, more pleasing manner. Now, how do we go about doing this? Because this patient is not from India. He's come from Australia for the procedure, and these things will take a very long time. It is not an easy procedure to correct a badly done hair transplant. So in this case of correction of temple points, which are unaesthetic, the choice lay between removing the grafts through FU hair transplant on one hand and using laser hair ablation on the other. Many people have myths in their minds from what they read, from what uninformed sources tell them, that you can get your hair removed in a jiffy through FU hair transplant, whereas a laser hair transplant takes about 5 to 6 sessions in Indian skin. Whereas this is not so. And this is the myth I want to dispel in this video. When you target grafts using FU hair transplant, you are not targeting all the hair, because 20 to 30% hair are always in the resting phase, and they will crop up in the next cycle after 4 months. And they will continue to do this, and this process will continue over time, and you will require, even with FUE, if you want to remove hair, you will require 2 to 3 sessions. Moreover, in FUE hair removal, since the graft which has been planted through a surgical process is engulfed in scar tissue, it does not point straight down below the skin surface, because there is scar surrounding it, and the direction gets distorted as the wound heals. So when you target these hair, unlike FU harvest in virgin skin, the transaction rate climbs up from 1 to 2% to as high as 15 to 30%, because FUE is a blind process. So when you are targeting malaligned, malplaced grafts from a previous procedure through FUE targeting, firstly, you will not be able to remove all the hair, because there are hair in the resting phase, a significant amount, 20 to 30%. And besides that, about 20 to 30% hair cannot be removed because they get transected, since FUE is a blind process, and grafts, once planted, get engulfed in scar tissue, which distorts their linearity. On the other hand, with the laser hair removal, again, you cannot target all the hair, because only hair which are in anagen phase can be targeted through laser hair removal. The remaining hair will crop up in another cycle and therefore needs to be dealt with in several other sessions. The disadvantage with laser hair removal for malplaced hair also is that it cannot target gray hair or white hair, because laser targets melanin pigment. If there is no melanin in your follicle, laser hair removal is bound to be a failure. So this is a drawback of laser hair removal for corrective hair transplants. However, there are ways in which this is being sought to be bypassed by using melanin-loaded liposomes. But that is a costly treatment. Another treatment may be electrolysis, but it is a painstaking procedure. Not only painstaking, but also painful. So what do I personally feel should be done in this patient? In this patient, I gave him 3 options. Number 1 option is to not do anything for the temples except laser hair ablation. Do 1 or 2 sessions with a strong beam. Lessen the visibility by thinning out these hairs in the first session through a strong beam. The second option in this patient is to remove all the hair through laser hair ablation over 5 to 6 sessions and then come up for temple point restoration after say about 8 months or 9 months. The temple points will be shifted a little back so that they do not look out of place. The third option is to remove all the bristly hair through FU hair transplant, which is a quick process, so that he does not have to wait for 6 sessions of laser. All the bristly hair which are visible now can be removed, targeted through FUE hair removal, and then after 6 weeks he can receive laser hair ablation so that the hair are ablated or removed quicker than otherwise it would have been. So this is the difference between laser hair removal, FUE hair removal. Every patient is different. The approach depends upon the patient's objectives, what a particular technique can achieve and not achieve in a given situation, and overall discussion between doctor and patient so that they arrive at a plan of treatment which is best suited to that given situation. So this was the talk for the day. If you have any questions about correcting bad hair transplants, hair transplant revision, hair transplant repair, or any other question about hair transplant, hair loss treatment for men and women, let me know in the comment section below, and I'll get back to you the soonest. Have a nice day and God bless you.